Okay.
Well, getting into Troop 4, went through the usual program and got to go to Camp Tuscarora on a scholarship from the Kiwanis Club. And second year out, was inducted into the Order of the Arrow. And continued on with scouting through the Order of the Arrow activities and troop activities until got into high school, got in the radio business. Then later on began to work with a scout troop and was assistant scoutmaster. And that's Troop 6. And then I went in the Marine Corps and came out and became the charter scoutmaster of Troop 11. And later on was involved in getting onto the executive committee of the council in 1969, and worked with that for many years and became council president in the 50th year of Tuscarora Council back in 1972, and then 73 was the 50th year, so I was council president for 2 years, and helped transition from Camp Tuscarora, Eagles Nest now, to Tuscarora Reservation when it opened in 1973 with the President's Honor Guard down here and all sorts of wonderful activities, and remained on the executive committee after that, and was also now on the council advisory board, and have been all through these years working on projects when they come up.
So you've been involved with scouting in some form or another since 1940s?
1942.
1942, okay.
I tried to join in 41, but they told me I was too young. I think they finally went to 11 and a half, and so I got to become active in Troop 4 after that.
Are there any particular experiences that you had as a scout that stick with you?
Well, one of the biggest was the responsibility for a jamboree troop in 1953 as assistant scoutmaster. And we went on to training programs here. Actually, we had to camp out for several days in California. So we went by troop train from here to Atlanta, and from Atlanta to Salt Lake City, went swimming in the Great Salt Lake, and wound up at Irvine Ranch, California, which is now the University of California at Irvine. 50,000 Boy Scouts, and all sorts of wonderful activities there. They had Bob Hope and Marilyn Monroe and Dorothy Lamour and all those sorts of folks working on the campsite from time to time, which was quite an experience. But the biggest thing was to see the boys as they experienced this to mature and become more responsible, and tried to keep most of them from smoking, and I finally did get successful at that. But to me, that was one of the highlights of my scouting experience with the scout leader that day, going to the Grand Canyon on the way back, and going cross-country in a troop train all the way to California and back. It's just unbelievable what sort of good times and things that we had.
What about today? Are there any lessons from scouting that you still carry over into your life today?
Well, yeah, and trying to pass along the basic principles of scouting, which are incorporated in the scout law, and always tried to be upfront and square and honest with all our business dealings and dealings in the radio business, which I've been in for 60-some years, dealing with clients and with news and all those sorts of things. The background in scouting certainly contributed greatly to my ability, I hope, to see things fairly, clearly, and to report them as such and respond in a good, positive way.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hill. I appreciate that.